I didn't sign up for this. That's all the message said. Just 5 words sitting beneath a screenshot of our drained joint account. Name's Raymond. I'm 32, lead mechanic in Richland. About 4 hours earlier, I was in a clinic, sitting across from a doctor tossing around words like lymphoma, treatment plans, and survival odds. Stage 2, he said. Not a death sentence, but still a tough road ahead. I called Natalie from the parking lot, asked her to meet me at the house so we could talk things through. She told me she was tied up, said she had errands to run and would be home later. But when I walked through the front door, half the closet was empty. Her suitcase was gone. Our wedding photo was missing from the nightstand. Then came the text, and the screenshot showing she'd moved all $40,000 of our savings, 5 years' worth, into a personal account under just her name. I stared at my phone for a solid minute before typing a simple reply, "Take care." Then I set it down, cracked open a beer, and sat out on the back deck while the sun dipped below the trees. I didn't cry, didn't yell, didn't throw a damn thing. I just sat there, feeling everything inside me shift like the ground had tilted. Cancer? That I could fight. But what she did? That was something else entirely. Doug, my neighbor, saw me sitting out there and wandered over to the fence. "You all right?" he asked. "I saw Natalie tearing out of here earlier," car loaded up. "Got some medical news," I told him. "She didn't take it too well." He nodded, didn't pry. "Well, if you need anything, Tracy makes a hell of a casserole." "Thanks," I said. After he headed back, I went inside and pulled out a folder my Uncle Russell had handed me last month. He retired from estate planning last year, but still kept his toe in the water. When Grandpa passed away in February and left me that patch of land up north, Russell helped me get all the legal stuff in order. "Everybody needs their ducks in a row," he told me. "Especially when you're married. Gotta protect each other." I'd started the process. Updated my will. Named Natalie as co-owner on the '69 Mustang I'd restored, though I hadn't sent in the paperwork yet. Opened a backup account at another bank for when we sold the land. All of it? Meant to protect us. To protect her. Funny how things turn out. I picked up the phone and called Russell. When he picked up, I said, "Remember that talk we had about estate stuff? I need to make some edits." There was a pause on his end. "You okay, Raymond?" "No," I told him, "but I will be." I met Natalie back in 2016 at my buddy Drew's wedding. She was working as a paralegal at a downtown law firm, sharp, funny, beautiful. We moved in together 6 months later, tied the knot a year after that. Those first couple years? They were good. We socked away money, bought a fixer-upper in a decent neighborhood. I spent weekends replacing cabinets, laying floors, redoing the plumbing. Natalie picked out paint colors and picked fights with throw pillows. She'd post our progress online, calling us a renovation success story. My dad died when I was 13, so my mom raised me and my sister on a teacher's paycheck. She taught us how to stretch a dollar, stay grounded, and always have a plan B. After she passed 2 years ago, I clung to that backup plan tighter than ever. Natalie, though, came from a different world. Her parents handed her everything: tuition, new cars, even helped with our down payment. They never quite got why she married a mechanic. Her dad, a high-powered attorney, always introduced me as Natalie's husband, like I didn't have a name of my own. Looking back now, I can see the cracks were already forming long before the cancer came knocking. About 3 months back, Natalie started bringing up the idea of moving to Seattle. Said the job market was better, more opportunities out there. I pushed back. I had a steady gig, our friends were here, and we were close to paying off the house. After those talks, she got quiet, pulled back emotionally, started hanging out more with people I didn't know, friends I'd never even heard of. Then came the little jabs, the kind that sting more than you'd think. "Don't you ever want to do something bigger than just fixing cars?" My college roommate's husband just made partner. They're building a vacation house now. Sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if I'd moved to Chicago after graduation. I brushed it all off. Told myself every relationship hits bumps. Figured we'd find our way through it. Then one day, I found a business card in her purse from a high-rise apartment complex in Seattle. Even then, I didn't say anything. Just quietly gave Uncle Russell a call and told him we might need to revisit the paperwork. Started keeping a log of everything we owned, just in case. 2 weeks later, I went to the clinic thinking I just had a stubborn cold. Doctor found swollen lymph nodes. Then came the blood work, then the biopsy. The night before I got the final results, Natalie and I sat down for dinner in our kitchen. She chatted about some guy at work getting promoted. I just watched her, wondering if she could see the panic written all over my face. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, I lied. Just tired." She nodded, kept eating. Didn't press. Didn't really look at me, either. That alone should have told me everything I needed to know. 3 days after she walked out, I started my first round of chemo. Hit me harder than I expected. The nurse helped me to a recliner, hooked me up to the floor, and asked if someone was waiting to drive me home. "I took an Uber," I said. "My wife's out of town." She gave me this look, kind, but unreadable, and patted my arm. "First treatment's always the worst. You'll get through it." I just nodded. Didn't trust myself to open my mouth. Hadn't told anyone, besides Doug next door, that Natalie was gone for good. Out of town felt easier to say than the truth. Saying it out loud felt like an admission, like failure. When I got home, there was a casserole dish on the porch with a note from Doug's wife taped on top. "Made too much. Enjoy." I knew it wasn't true, but I was grateful for the gesture. I tried eating some, but it wouldn't stay down. Wound up curled on the bathroom floor, drenched in sweat and trembling, completely alone. That night, I picked up the phone and called my sister Jenna in Seattle. Told her everything. The diagnosis, Natalie leaving, the missing money. She wanted to jump in the car right away. I asked her to hold off. Told her I needed to handle a few things first. The next morning, I got in touch with my bank. Found out Natalie had cleaned out all our accounts just 40 minutes after I'd called her from the clinic. Before I'd even explained what was wrong. Just heard I was sick, and that was all she needed to make her move. Something inside me changed. The sadness didn't fade. It just solidified into something sharper. Not quite rage. More like resolve. That same afternoon, I drove over to Uncle Russell's place. Brought every scrap of paperwork I had. Bank statements, titles, property documents. Everything. "She can't just run off with your money," Russell said as he flipped through the files. I reminded him. It was a joint account. Her name's on it too. He pulled off his reading glasses and looked straight at me. "Raymond, what she did wasn't just heartless. It might be illegal. Draining the account, knowing you're sick, knowing you'll have massive medical expenses." I leaned forward. "But could we prove she knew?" He paused, thinking. "Phone records would show when you called her after your appointment. The bank's timestamp shows exactly when she moved the money. If you've got anything that marks the date of your diagnosis." I handed him my phone, pulled up her message. The one that simply said, "I didn't sign up for this." His face tightened. "That's pretty damning, Raymond." We spent the next 3 hours building a plan. Changing the Mustang's title. Prepping for the land sale. Going over my insurance. Tracking every treatment cost. We documented everything. As I left Russell's, my phone buzzed with an incoming email. It was from Natalie's cousin Lauren, one of the few from her side who'd ever been kind to me. "Raymond," it read, "I just heard what happened. I'm so sorry. I honestly don't know what's going through Natalie's head right now. I'm here if you need anything." I stared at her message for a long while, then typed back, "Did Natalie ever tell you about my diagnosis?" Her reply came fast. "Yes. She told everyone you had cancer. But she said she couldn't handle it and needed a new beginning." We're all shocked. None of this feels right. I thanked her, put the phone down, and drove home with the windows down. Warm summer air on my face. For the first time since that day in the doctor's office, I felt clear. I knew exactly what needed to happen. 2 weeks into chemo, a letter showed up, this time from Natalie's attorney. She was filing for divorce. Cited irreconcilable differences. Wanted her name taken off the mortgage, but asked for half the house's equity. Not one word about the savings she took. Not a mention of my illness. I brought the letter straight to Russell. He shook his head, reading through it. "She drains your accounts while you're staring down cancer. And now she wants half the house too? What do I do?" I asked. "Don't respond just yet," he said calmly. "Let's see how far she's willing to go." The next day, a text came in from a number I didn't recognize. "Raymond, it's Natalie. This is my new number. I know you're angry, but we have to sort this out. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half the house." I didn't bother replying. 3 days after that, another message. "Raymond, being childish doesn't help anything. I get you're going through stuff, but I have rights too." Going through stuff. Like cancer was a mood swing I'd eventually snap out of. I blocked her number. The third chemo session wiped me out. I couldn't keep food down for 2 straight days. Dropped 12 pounds. That's when Jenna finally drove up from Seattle. Stayed with me for a week. Cleaned up the house, filled the freezer with meals, drove me to my appointments. Right before she left, We got another letter from Natalie's lawyer. More demands. More legal threats about what I supposedly owed her. Jenna was livid. After everything she's pulled? She's lucky you haven't sued her for stealing. We'll get there, I told her. A week later, I got a certified letter from the bank. Natalie had tried to take my name off our joint credit cards, but she couldn't do it without my signature. She'd also tried to get into our safe deposit box. The one with the deed, the Mustang title, and my grandfather's will. They turned her away when she couldn't produce the second key. My key? I called Russell right away. She's scrambling, he said, probably realizing she left too many loose ends. So, what do I do next? Let's shut that box down, he said. Move everything into a new one, under your name only. And we need to go ahead and file that title update on the Mustang. I used a sick day, though by then, every day was a sick day. Went to the bank, closed the box, opened a new one. Hit the DMV, filed the Mustang paperwork. Took her name off, since it had never been made official anyway. That night, another message came in from yet another unfamiliar number. You changed the Mustang title? That car is half mine. You listed me on it. I stared at the screen. How the hell did she know already? I'd only submitted the form that morning. And then it hit me. Someone was feeding her information. DMV, maybe. Or the bank. Someone was keeping her looped in. I called Russell again. I think she's got help. Someone on the inside. He paused, then said, her father's got connections. Wouldn't surprise me if he's pulling strings. What should I do? Russell's voice turned sharp. Feed them lies, he said. Let's bait a trap. The next morning, I rang up the realtor handling the land sale. Asked her to put everything on hold. Made sure to say loud and clear that I was exploring other options for liquidating my assets. After that, I called my old investment firm, the one holding a small 401k from a job I'd left years ago. Asked them how early withdrawals worked and made sure to mention I was reviewing all options due to medical expenses. Then I waited. Wanted to see how Natalie would respond. Sure enough, 2 days later, her attorney sent over another letter. This time, they wanted a piece of any proceeds from the sale of inherited property, plus a fair share of my retirement accounts. I handed the letter to Russell. He read it and smirked. She bit, he said. What now? I asked him. Now we show them what we've got. I spent the next month focusing on getting through each day. The chemo was hell, but the doctors seemed cautiously hopeful. I'd lost all my hair, dropped 30 pounds, but my blood work was finally trending in the right direction. Jenna came up to visit every other weekend. Doug and Tracy from next door checked in constantly. And my boss adjusted my hours but kept me on the insurance, which probably saved me. I was still standing, fighting through the cancer and the mess Natalie left behind. There were days where it all felt heavier than I could carry. Nights I'd roll over, half asleep, expecting someone to be there, only to find empty sheets. But most of the time, I stayed locked in on what was next. The next appointment. The next move in the twisted game Natalie had decided to play. Then one Tuesday morning, Russell gave me a call. We got access to her bank records, he said. Want to guess what she did with your money? Tell me, I said, bracing myself. She moved it into a new account, then cut a check for 30 grand to her parents. I sat down stunned. Why would she do that? My guess? She's trying to hide it. Launder it through family to keep it out of reach. Can she legally pull that off? Russell shook his head. Nope. That's the thing. She transferred joint funds while you were undergoing treatment, then tried to bury the money through a third party. Judges don't like that sort of thing. At all. I let that settle in. Russell, I don't want to drag this out. I don't have the strength for a long court fight. He was calm, confident. We won't have to. Once her side sees the evidence we've got, they'll back down. 2 days later, I was leaving the hospital after a treatment when I saw a familiar car parked near the entrance. Silver BMW. Natalie's father behind the wheel. He wasn't there by accident. He was waiting for me. I walked right up to the car and knocked on his window. He rolled it down, cool as ever, face locked in that lawyer expression I'd seen a dozen times. Raymond, you're not looking so great. Cancer'll do that to a man. Why are you here? Natalie's worried. She thinks you're being difficult about the divorce. I almost laughed in his face. Is that what she calls it? Difficult? She's prepared to be reasonable, especially given your current health. She's willing to divide assets fairly, including the house. The house she bailed on the day I was diagnosed? The savings she drained before I even had a chance to process the news? He actually looked uncomfortable for a moment. She was emotional. People don't always think clearly when they're overwhelmed. This wasn't a slip-up. This was a decision. He sighed. Raymond, be realistic. You're sick. You need rest, not a legal battle that could drag on and bleed you dry. That's when I understood. They thought I was on my knees. Thought I was broke. Weak. Willing to take whatever they offered just to make the headache go away. They didn't know I'd already moved the Mustang out of Natalie's name. Didn't realize the land sale had been paused intentionally. Had no idea I'd been quietly building a case from day one. Tell Natalie I'll have my formal response to her attorney by Friday, I said and turned to walk away. Raymond, he called after me. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I didn't turn back. That Thursday, I met with Russell and a real estate attorney he brought along, Monica Reyes. We laid everything on the table. The transaction record showing Natalie's withdrawal right after my diagnosis, her cold text message, Lauren's statement confirming Natalie knew about the cancer, and the $30,000 check to her parents. This is a textbook case of financial abandonment, Monica said. Add the attempted concealment of marital assets, and no judge is going to look kindly on this. So what's our next step? I asked. We file for divorce ourselves, she said. We show clear abandonment during a medical crisis, financial misconduct, and efforts to hide funds. We'll ask for full recovery of the stolen money and legal fees. You think we've got a shot? Monica gave a confident nod. I've handled a lot of these cases, Raymond. I've never seen one with a cleaner paper trail. But honestly, I doubt it goes to trial. Once her lawyer sees this, they'll cave. And if they don't? Then we go to court, she said, cool and steady. And she walks out with nothing. Not even her name. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt something close to hope. Friday morning, Monica submitted our full response to Natalie's attorney. It wasn't just a reply. It was the entire divorce filing, packed with evidence. Bank transfers, texts, statements from witnesses, and medical records. All laid out in black and white, no room for doubt or spin. By lunchtime, Natalie's lawyer requested an urgent meeting. That was quick, I said to Russell over the phone. They didn't expect you to come armed, he told me. They figured you were too sick, too broke, or too wrecked to fight back. The meeting was scheduled for Monday. I spent the weekend doing my best to rest and clear my head. Then Sunday night, a message popped up from yet another unfamiliar number. This is cruel, Raymond. I made a mistake, but this is vindictive. My parents can't return the money right now. You're trying to ruin me. I stared at that screen for a long time. Vindictive? I wasn't the one who walked out on a spouse during cancer treatments. Wasn't the one who stole savings and hid behind lawyers and family connections. For the first time since this started, I replied. Actions have consequences. Monday morning, I met Russell and Monica at her office. They wanted me in the room, but told me to stay silent unless someone asked me a direct question. Natalie showed up with her father in tow, along with her lawyer, a thin guy with a tight suit, fancy glasses, and a face like he'd never smiled in his life. She looked great, honestly. Tan, rested, like she'd spent the past few months on a beach while I was clawing my way through chemo. She couldn't even look at me. Her lawyer opened with the usual routine. We've reviewed your filing. While we don't agree with your interpretation of the events, my client is open to settling. She wants to avoid any unnecessary legal confrontation. Monica didn't flinch. Let me be crystal clear. This is not a negotiation. This is a final meeting before we go to court. Your client abandoned her husband the day he was diagnosed with cancer. She emptied their joint accounts, funneled those funds through her parents, and then had the audacity to demand more. We have proof of all of it. Natalie shifted uncomfortably. Her father leaned forward, trying to smooth it over. I'm sure we can work something out that's fair. Monica cut him off without missing a beat. Your daughter transferred her husband's emergency medical fund directly to you. We have the check on file. So, are you returning those funds today? Or should we go ahead and include you in the civil suit for knowingly receiving stolen marital assets? The whole room went dead silent. Natalie's lawyer cleared his throat. What exactly are you proposing? Monica laid out the terms like she was reading a grocery list. Full repayment of the $40,000. Natalie would give up all rights to the house, the Mustang, my retirement savings, and my grandfather's land. She'd also cover every dime of my legal fees. In return, I wouldn't press criminal charges for fraud or abandonment. Natalie's dad muttered, "This is extortion." Monica didn't blink. No. What your daughter did was extortion. This is accountability. The meeting wrapped with Natalie's lawyer asking for 48 hours to respond. As we walked out of the conference room, Natalie tried to catch my gaze. I didn't give her the satisfaction, just kept walking. In the elevator, Russell patted me on the shoulder. You held your ground in there. I didn't even speak, I said. He smiled. Sometimes keeping quiet is the toughest thing to do. 2 days later, Monica gave me a call. Natalie had agreed to everything. Her parents would pay back the full $40,000 within 30 days. Natalie would sign away all claims, no more property disputes, no more surprises. It's done, Monica said. You came out on top. But it didn't feel like a win. It felt like closing a chapter in a story I once thought would last a lifetime. Like reaching the middle of a book, only to realize that's where it ends. Still, for the first time since the day I got the diagnosis, I actually slept through the night. Exactly 30 days later, the settlement money landed. A cashier's check for the full $40,000, just like they agreed. I took it straight to the bank, deposited it on the spot, then called my oncologist's office to start knocking down my medical bills. Erin, the nurse who'd been with me since day one, was working the front desk when I walked in. You're looking better, she said with a smile. Your numbers came back solid last week. Feeling better too, I told her as I slid the check across the counter. She gave it a glance. Insurance handled this? I shrugged. Something along those lines. A week later, the divorce became official. I signed the final paperwork at Monica's office, and the strange part was I didn't feel angry. Didn't feel sad either. Just done. Like closing the last page of a book you thought would end differently. As we stepped outside, Russell looked over. So, what now? Finish treatment. Get healthy. Then figure out the rest. He nodded. The land deal's set to close next month. That'll bring in another 65 grand. And if you ever want to part with the Mustang. Not yet, I said quickly. Not ready to let go of everything. That evening, I sat on the back deck with a glass of water in hand, watching the sky fade to orange. The nausea from chemo had finally eased. My hair was starting to grow back patchy, but it was there. The doctors had begun using phrases like responding well and promising outlook. My phone buzzed. It was an email from Lauren. Raymond, I heard everything's final. I'm so sorry for what my family did to you. Natalie's parents are selling their cabin to cover the money they owe. My aunt's furious, blaming you instead of Natalie, but I just wanted you to know, some of us get it. I hope you're okay. You deserve to be. I didn't write back. Wasn't interested in getting pulled into the aftermath anymore. It was time to focus on myself, on recovery, on starting over, on whatever came next. 6 months later, my oncologist finally said the words I'd been waiting to hear. Complete remission. I sat in her office, letting it wash over me. Not cured. Lymphoma could always return. But for now, it was gone. That round was over, and I'd made it through. So, what now? I asked. Now, she said, you go live your life. Regular blood work, checkups every 6 months. But for now, go live. That night, I made 2 phone calls. First to Jenna. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Then to my old friend Derek, out in Hermiston, who'd been trying to hire me at his custom auto shop for years. You still got a spot? I asked him. Hell yeah, he said. When can you start? A month later, I sold the house in Richland. Used the money to buy a quiet little cabin just outside Hermiston, 2 bedrooms, a detached garage big enough for all my tools and the Mustang, and windows that opened up to the mountains. On the morning I left town, Doug and Tracy walked over to say goodbye. Tracy handed me a casserole wrapped in foil. For the road, she said. I thanked them for the meals, the yard work, the quiet kindness that had carried me through the darkest stretch of my life. You really okay? Doug asked. I thought about it a moment. I'm getting there. 3 months into my new life in Oregon, a text popped up from a number I didn't recognize. It was Natalie. I heard you're in remission. That's good news. You probably won't believe me, but I think about you often. I made a huge mistake. I was scared and selfish. I'm sorry, Raymond, for everything. I read it twice. Thought about what to say, if anything. Then I typed back 4 simple words. I survived. Be well. After that, I blocked the number. Put the phone down and went out to the garage. The Mustang was waiting. Not to be sold. Not anymore. I was rebuilding it, this time for me. Some things, once broken, stay broken. But some, they can be rebuilt. Stronger. Better than before. I was one of those things.